Welcome to Menopause Muse. I'm Helen Tice and with me is the lovely Pat Taylor, and we are from the company I Care, I Move. Now we're here to talk to you about how do you get going with exercise when you're not really inclined to be an exerciser. So Pat's going to ask a bunch of questions and I'm going to respond as a personal trainer, and I've been a personal trainer for a number of years, and I've specialised in those who are living with chronic health conditions and those that are ageing or inactive. So Pat.
So just focus in for a little while on people who maybe haven't exercised for 10, 20, 30 years. Somebody might be scared, worried, anxious. What's the best exercise, or what's the best way to actually start exercising, thinking about health, safety and getting over that worry?
So if you were ready to start to exercise, because that's the first thing, you have to be in a place where you want to be more active. I think the first thing that I would say is let's check your health. Does your GP think you're safe to exercise? We are targeting here, we're having a conversation around a midlife woman, say late 40s, right? So we've got that's our assumption. She's in a midlife, she's inactive. We need to just make sure that the GP says she's all right to exercise. Now that in itself can be a bit of a pain in the backside. And we have to remove barriers. So is your GP happy? There is a little bit here about common sense. So if you are not taking medicine and you are okay, but you've just never been a person that exercises, but you are busy, because that's the other thing, because people get confused with activities of daily living. That's scurrying around the house, doing the washing, the laundry, the kids, being a carer, or all of that stuff. That's called activities, ADLs, activities of daily living, not specific exercise. So that's two things. So the first thing is to make sure that you're clear to exercise. So are there any contraindications? Are there any things? And I'm assuming if you've not been exercised, so this is based on assumption, if you've not been active, I would be mindful of getting the joints moving and thinking about your heart. So I've got to think about your cardiovascular fitness. And think about your cardiovascular fitness, think about your heart health, and then your bone capability. So your joints need to be strong enough to be able to withstand increasing the load on your body. That sounds a bit complicated. So we start with things like, I don't know why that's doing that. We start with things like walking. So let's just, I walk every day. Let's walk more. So if somebody's going for a little walk with the dog, that's all very well and good, but it's not actually, that now becomes an activity of daily living. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you have to do more than the dog walk to take it into that this is exercise, not activities of daily living. So the first thing is whatever you're doing, let's just do it a little bit more. So I'm not forcing you down the road of you have to go to an exercise class, you have to join a gym. You have to find the things that actually make you feel good first, and then we'll go from there. So to answer your question, you've been cleared by your GP, we've had a look at your medication to see if you're on anything that's, that could be contraindications. Generally speaking, we're just going to ask you just do a little bit more than what you're already doing and test the water.
Yeah. So what kind of things would you wear?
Oh, do you know what? It's so important.
It is.
And for a long time, the fitness apparel industry have designed clothes for thin people, which is a bit of a nightmare. It means it's contraindication. Now, I always talk about confidence.
Yeah.
And you want to feel good, right? So you don't want to be wearing, you don't want to feel uncomfortable when you step into your first fitness class. And lots of women over the years have told us that. To be honest, when you start, wear something that you feel comfortable and good in. I will always, a million times say, good bra.
Yeah.
Something that's going to strap the girls down and make sure that you feel comfortable. But honestly, anything goes now in gyms. Some people are obsessed with fitness apparel, like Pat.
We love a new pair of trainers, like me, really.
I love a good trainer.
Trainer envy.
But again, you've got to do things that are affordable, that make you feel comfortable and, make you feel nice, because that is all part of the process of starting exercise. It's like we've got to remove those barriers to entry. So if you think that you have to wear a certain thing to be able to exercise, you're not going to the right place.
And there's some good bits of kit, aren't there? Like in the cheaper shops, I won't name names, but the cheaper shops,
supermarkets,
supermarkets and the cheaper shops have brilliant sports bras for like £3. £3. Some of my best black vest tops are £3.
Yeah.
And especially if you're not sure whether you're going to carry on, if you're in that what you just said, I can't think how you say it. When you're waiting, when you're still deciding.
Contemplation,
that's
darling.
it, thank you. When you're still deciding, I'm not sure if
that's pre-contemplation. Contemplation, actually, it's contemplation.
And you don't want to spend a lot, then go and buy the cheaper kit. It's fine, nobody knows, and it looks great.
Yeah, absolutely, and I stand by that.
Yeah.
I've got stacks of, I've spent a fortune on bras, expensive bras, and I come back to my Old Faithfuls all the time, and they are like, so don't worry, so the point is that it's scalable. There are high-end, expensive brands, and there's lower end. It really doesn't matter as long as it makes you feel good. I tell you another thing, that there is definitely people that wear the all black because it covers your bumps, and then there's the others that wear the really bright and funky and stand out, and like choose your tribe. I flip-flop from both. So that's that. So what do you wear? We've explored your health and well-being. What's next?
What about those aches and pains? So if you've exercised and you're quite achy.
Oh yeah, really good question.
And if you've got to work and you've got sore arms or you've got sore legs and you can't sit on the loo. What's that about, and how can we kind of reduce that? So
reinforcing the barrier is brilliant. That's a really, really clever question, because about the barriers to exercise. A lot of people have previously exercised and remember how their bodies are sore afterwards. That is actually called delayed onset muscle soreness, and it is a process. So the muscle fibres are being stretched and pulled. There's a lot of acid going in your body when you exercise more, and it just makes you sore. After a period of time, the sore gets less. So that's called delayed onset muscle soreness. And it normally comes on 24 hours up to 70 hours post activity. Okay, so a lot of people won't go back because they remember that pain. But actually what then happens, your dopamine, your happy hormones go, I quite like that pain. It's nice. It gets better and better. The other thing is, in the old days, the guidelines were, if you've got sore joints like arthritis, you weren't ever to exercise. But actually what we now know is that there may be short-term pain for long-term gain. So what we know, and the guidelines from NICE, so the NICE guidelines now say, if there is pain around the joint, the first thing is to be more active. Because actually what happens is, as you exercise, you increase sponginess within the joints, you increase the power of the muscle around the joint, so that gives you more ability to move better and move well. So definitely if there's a pain there, sorry, it might give you a bit of distress, but actually it will make you feel fabulous moving forward. To summarise that bit, how I would finish that bit is stretch.
Yeah.
So in the old days, you'd flick your heel to your bum and then you'd be done. Put some time into stretching, and it might be that stretching is where you start. Just to try and get things moving and joints moving, so we're getting full range of movement in your joints. That might be a nice starting point.
So my next question is thinking about the different types of exercise and why, because we don't want to go full on cardio, do we? We have to rest our bodies as we get slightly older because of all the different things going on in your body. So what about just doing cardio or just running or just doing weights? What should we be doing?
So as a personal trainer, I would definitely focus on 3 things. Old trainer me would have said I would be really quite prescriptive about your exercise plan for the week, the month, the quarter. But now I say do something for your heart, do something for your bones, and do something for your mind. And that's really how we've broken it down in time. If you go all out just cardio, something's going to give. So you have to work on the balance of the body. So if you're doing cardio all the time, that might in time have an impact on the rest of you. So go to a dance class, for example, but then think about stretching. Go to a weightlifting class, like a pump class or a resistance class, but also that will target, it's called strength endurance, but then do a little bit of cardio. So I'm talking about a gym environment here, but then go for a power walk. And then for your mental health, go for a sea bob, not a sea swim.
Yeah.
So if you want to do cardio in the sea, you have to actually swim. But if you want to go for mental health, and actually it's quite good for your heart health too, go in and sea swim or open water swimming, wild swimming. I like to think it's more like a bobbing because that noise of the water around your neck,
Definitely.
the smell around you of the water and the environment, the companionship that might be with you, whether it's the birds and the fish or it's the people that you're with, it's totally up to you, but that's really good for the soul too.
And then one more is we likely suffer from having hot flushes anyway. So imagine going into an exercise class and we're kind of quite similar in that we're sweating, aren't we? And it's like it's in your hair, it's dripping down your face. What do you do with your hair, for example? You've got longer hair, so you put yours up. I'm shorter hair, so I have 2 bobbles. I have one at the top to take my fringe and then another one. But it's constant, isn't it? And then you leave the class feeling sweaty and you've got to have another shower and you've got to do your hair again. And
so I think there's 3 questions there. How do you manage your temperature? When do you exercise?
Yeah.
Is that one? And I think there's a bit of a body confidence thing about being sweating. Is it normal? So 4 things. Hydrate. Water. It's really important. Unless you've been told not to drink gallons of water, drink gallons of water. Water's good for you. And actually it's really good for your joints as well, not to mention lubrication throughout your body. So water's important. Sweating is absolutely natural. We as a culture have put shame on it. So sweating is normal. Some of us, me in particular, sweat profusely and sweat more than others, and that's called hyperhidrosis. It can be managed with a bit of Botox, believe it or not, but that's another story. I tend to wear my hair back and I tend to have a headband. I don't look particularly cool when I do it. I don't care. It stops the sweat running down my face and in my eyes. Also, when we talked about clothes, fabrics now, you have technical fabrics which are designed to draw the sweat away from your skin so you don't get too cold or too hot. So wick away clothes are really useful. And again, you can still buy them relatively cheap as well. So hydrate, headband, hair up, fight over the place where the fan is if you are in a group exercise studio. And because I'm 5'10", I tend to win that game quite a lot. And then finally, keep it cool. You don't have to exercise indoors if you want to be outdoors. Exercise outdoors. So don't stress about it. Sweating isn't something that should be a barrier. And when you are in an environment when you are exercising with others, what you might notice that, they're all sweating too. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, and have a shower when you get home. Don't leave your kit on or you get a rash and itchy.
I do have one other thing we haven't mentioned pelvic floor.
No. Okay.
So again, around fashion and trend of exercise, there are a lot of instructors that talk about high impact intensity exercise, jumping up and down. Many women, particularly if you're starting exercise, I would tend to look at low impact fitness. So places or activities that don't involve jumping. And now there's a couple of reasons here. Firstly, when you're new to activity, it's the stability of your body. Jumping is not necessarily the best thing for you to do at this point in time, partly because it's really intense and it will make you feel quite overwhelmed in terms of your heart rate, but also your joints coping with that load when you're jumping and putting that impact on your body. But also, as we're declining in estrogen, it can create a weakening of your pelvic floor. So what we don't want to do when you're new to all of this is feeling overwhelmed, attending something that involves too much jumping, that you're also going to be conscious of leaks and weeing. So just be mindful of that. So I'm going to say it's not unusual. It's not normal for women to leak during exercise, but it does happen, and it's not a badge of honour. So if you are concerned about that or there is leaking, please go and visit your GP and have that conversation. But yeah, be mindful. So I would always recommend to a newcomer to have a look at Pilates.
Yeah.
To just, even if it's not your thing, have a better understanding of your anatomy for a little while, to understand about the pelvic floor. Men and women have pelvic floors, but to understand a bit more about it and how you can engage your pelvic floor, which in turn engages your core, which in turn helps you to keep everything tight, train it and strong from the inside, which will radiate to the outside of your anatomy.
Fabulous.
Yeah? Happy with that?
Definitely.
Okay, so that's it for now. Please contact us. Obviously, we have the Menopause Muse Facebook group, but contact us on info@iCareIMove. And if you do want to have a chat about you as a person and your fears around moving forward to be more active, then please get in touch with us.